Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Strife Hayes, and in this series we're going to take a look at the video games of yesteryear, the classics we all know and love, and we're going to ask, were they actually any good? No nostalgia, no rose-tinted glasses, we're taking the old school and seeing if it still stands up. In this first episode, we're going back to 1995 and replaying the side-scrolling classic Rayman. Rayman was developed for the Atari Jaguar and released on PlayStation 1, Sega Saturn and MS-DOS. The version I'll be playing in this video is the PlayStation 1 version. Quick fact before we begin, Rayman is the highest selling PlayStation 1 game in the United Kingdom, beating great games like Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid or Gran Turismo, so we're dealing with a world record holding game. Let's replay it and ask the question, Rayman 1. Was it actually any good? 1. Overview. Rayman is a 2D side-scrolling platformer where you control the titular Rayman and run, jump and punch your way through various colourful landscapes. The basic plot is the evil Mr. Dark has destroyed the Great Protoon, the being who keeps order in the universe, and the resulting explosion has scattered the small Electoons all across the world. You'll find them in levels trapped in small metal cages. You punch them to free them, and if you free all of them, you can face the final boss. Levels are pretty linear. Start here, get to here. But some of the more complex ones do have several different paths to the end, which you'll need to go back and do again if you want to find every caged Electoon. The level select screen is a map. Levels are represented by these gold coins, and whenever you free a caged Electoon within a level, a small purple dot is added to that gold coin. There are 6 Electoons in each level. Finding all 6 turns the gold coin into a smiley face. Right, that's the basics. Before we move on to gameplay, I need to make something very clear about this game. It lies to you. Not through words, but through assumptions. Look, here's what I mean. This is the first level. Pretty simple, right? Walk, jump, and win. No enemies, almost no way to die. So if this is the first level, you'd assume the rest of the game is going to be kind of similar. Cute, fun, and simple. Well, wrong. All kinds of wrong. This is one of the most punishing games ever made. After replaying it, I'm going to go ahead and say without a doubt that Rayman 1 is the hardest PlayStation 1 game ever made, and I'm going to explain why. To be real with you all, I wanted to make this series of videos as an excuse to spend all day playing old video games and class it as work, but after forcing myself through Rayman, I'm really not sure I'm feeling it anymore. But the show must go on, so here we go. 2. Gameplay. Right, gameplay. 2D side-scrolling. Rayman is seriously fun and easy to control. Movement is tight, and your move set is slowly expanded as the game goes on. Level 1 you can walk, crawl, and jump. And as you progress you'll be able to throw your disembodied hands out and punch, spin your hair to fly, swing from purple hanging things, grab onto the edges of ledges, and run. Some levels also have you riding a giant mosquito, because video games in the 90s made less sense. Every level has a start point and an end point, but reaching the end point doesn't mean you finish the entire level, as some levels are split into multiple stages. The longer stages do have checkpoints through them, in the form of this little photographer dude who takes your picture in front of one of those old-style beach body wooden cutouts. I like this, it's silly, it fits with the theme. If you die, you'll respawn here instead of starting from the beginning again. And believe me, you will die. Okay, let's talk about the difficulty. Now, this is one of my videos, and we're discussing a difficult game, so of course I'm going to make the comparison to one of the best games ever made, Dark Souls, somehow. But actually, no. Rayman is harder than Dark Souls, by far. See, Dark Souls never lies to you. It never pretends to be cute or fun. It just kills you straight away and tells you deal with it. Here are your unlimited lives, get good. Rayman does something much worse. much more insidious. It starts absolutely stupidly easy. Then the learning curve becomes a sheer cliff face in the second area, Bandland. Here's how it works. Rayman has energy, shown by these yellow circles in the top left. You'll usually start with 3, but you can find a power-up to increase that temporarily to 5. Every time you touch an enemy, or get hit by a projectile, or touch a dangerous bit of scenery, you'll lose a point of energy. Lose all of them and you'll die. Lose a life and respawn at either the start or the last photographer checkpoint. Oh, also, if you fall off a ledge, it's an instant death. So if you touch an enemy, they take 1 point of energy away from you, however they knock you off the ledge, tough, you've died. And since some of the surfaces, like the slick metallic surface of Bandland, or the slippy inky surface of any of the artistic levels cause you to lose traction and slide everywhere, you will fall off the map at some point. If you manage to lose all your lives, which will happen, you'll be offered the chance to continue. You start the game with 5 continues and 3 lives per continue. For anyone keeping up with the maths, that's a total of 15 lives the game gives you. Now during the game, you might find extra lives, represented by these little 1-up trophies of Rayman, collecting 100 of these shiny things called tings, or by completing a bonus level, unlocked through a hidden merchant who will take some of your tings and let you try a little challenge. But here's the problem. Once you run out of lives, and continues, you are done. You cannot try again on that save file. So let's imagine, through the game, you're probably likely to earn around 15 bonus lives, added to the 15 you had from the beginning. That's 30. 30 chances to finish a game harder than Dark Souls. Rayman is brutally unforgiving in some levels, and enemies can spawn when you get close to where they are. Some jumps are blind leaps of faith into the unknown. Some levels have water moving up at a constant rate and you have to race it. On the final level, you have to outsmart your own shadow, a perfect clone of you that follows you a few seconds behind and copies every action you've done so far, and if you touch it, you die instantly. These levels, by the way, the auto-scrollers where you have to keep up, are some of the most terrifying levels in any video game because of the atmosphere. Forget Outlast, forget Amnesia. You want to know horror? Try the rising auto-movement levels in Rayman. At least Dark Souls lets you try again as often as you like. Rayman's like, nope, you're dead, nice try, begin the game from the start again. And if you're skilled enough to fight your way through each of the worlds, you'll fight the boss of that world. And maybe you're thinking, hey, if the platforming's hard, maybe the bosses are pretty simple. No, wrong again. It pulls the same bait and switch with you. The first boss is easy, and the rest are all crazy difficult. You know Cuphead? That retro-inspired side-scroller with the hard-as-nails bosses? Rayman is Cuphead's big brother. Fewer bosses, but much, much harder. 3. Graphics. So we've discussed gameplay, now it's time to talk about the graphics. And even if this art style isn't your thing, you have to admit it's beautiful, it's rich, it's stylistic, it's unforgettable. Each area has such a distinctive look, and the game designers and artists cleverly found ways to include elements of each world's art style as a gameplay mechanic. The flowers of the swamp bend to allow you to pass over them. You can punch a fruit off a tree and ride it over the water. The musical notes are sharp and deadly in Bandland. The artistic land has rippling, deadly, sharp pencils stabbing you. It's not just a game that looks different in each world, it's actually managed to make each world have unique and interesting dangers. This isn't just a palette swap between different levels of a platformer, it's entire different mechanics just for one place. I'm a big fan of stylistic choices because I think style ages better than photorealism. I don't think the amount of polygons or pixels something has makes it memorable, I think its style does. And Rayman himself is iconic. He's a head, a torso, hands and feet. There's no need for connecting limbs. And the wind up and throw animation of the punch is just super memorable and very fun to play with. The game uses a system known as Parallax Scrolling. That's where you have a foreground object, midground actual level, and then background graphic, all moving at slightly different speeds to give the illusion of depth. And it works so damn well. Each level is a delight. Visually, not gameplay-wise. Gameplay, they're screaming caverns of hell, all of them. But visually, they're very, very pretty. I like the artistic touches that don't need to be there. The butterflies fluttering around, the little hearts that appear above the Electoon's head when you rescue them. It shows that this game really was a labour of love. All the writing is chunky and ballooned up, keeping the consistent kid-friendly aesthetic throughout. It's such a vicious juxtaposition, this friendly, happy, childlike world of wonder, housing one of the most brutally unforgiving platform games of all time. You'd never expect these two to work together so well, and I admire the fact that it does. 4. Sound. Sound, good God, sound. Rayman, for all the hatred I'll give you for your gameplay being tough as nails, I'll never, ever fault your sound. To explain how good the sound in this game is, I'll have to explain some quick sound concepts. There's two main types of sound in films, TV, or video games. Diegetic, which means sounds that realistically make sense within the context of the scene, and make sense to be there, created by something there, and non-diegetic, sounds that would not realistically be there, but may create atmosphere. To make this clearer, watching footage of someone walk down a corridor and hearing footsteps, that's diegetic. If you hear an orchestral soundtrack in the background, that's non-diegetic. Why am I explaining this? Well, the first level of Rayman only has diegetic sound. The clump of his footsteps, the creak of the flower stem bending when you jump onto it. It's a completely silent world, devoid of all noises except the ones you create. But then, in the next few stages, enemies spawn. And as they spawn, a small xylophone sound plays. It stands out as stark and different because, well, you didn't make that sound, so who did? It's the very first example of the game taking power away from you, and it's a lovely signal for things to come. As you play more and more enemies spawn, we get this tribal drum beat in the background, and suddenly the very easy first level is replaced by a much more challenging jungle of bad guys. It's such a smooth transition into it, you might not even notice it, but it's the game's way of saying, right, you've had your one fun level where you're in control and everything you do is what's created. Now you're in our world. And once the music has been introduced, every track is brilliant. You can actually take the PlayStation 1 Rayman disc, put it into a CD player, and it will play the music from the game. I believe there are 11 tracks on the CD. It's one of the only games to ever do this. And to illustrate a point, here is some of the amazing music and my terrible gameplay. Five, legacy. What I mean by legacy is, beyond the nostalgia that we all may have for this game, what did it do to the gaming landscape? How has Rayman 1 affected us as gamers today? Well, Rayman 1, Rayman Rhythm Games, Rayman 2 The Great Escape, remade as Revolution in 2000, Rayman Arena, Rayman Rush, Rayman 3, Hoodlum Havoc, Rayman DS, Ravid Rabbids, TV Party, 3D, Origins, Jungle, Run, Legends, Adventures. 16 sequels spanning Android, iPhone, PC, Xbox 360, GameCube, PS1, PS2, PlayStation Vita, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, DS, 3DS, Wii, and Wii U. Rayman has become a cultural phenomenon. It's had a lasting and still continuing legacy to this day, and it all started with a hard-as-nails, very cute platformer back in 1995. So, was Rayman 1 actually good? Yes, it's good. In fact, it's great. It's stylistic. It's ridiculously tough. It's memorable, and it's beautiful. If you're looking for an old school challenge that doesn't even pretend to be fair after level 2, give Rayman a shot. But remember, you might need to use the 99 lives code just to finish it, which is on the screen now. Don't feel bad about using this. I did. Ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching. Do you have a favourite old school game you want me to play through and critique? Let me know in the comments below, or come and chat to us on Discord, link in the description. Thank you very much for your time, and have a great day.